Alpha Systems Incorporated, the leader in developing and supplying polyurethane adhesives, presents the Alpha System, utilizing P5100 polyurethane adhesive. This revolutionary one-component polyurethane adhesive system was designed specifically for the manufactured housing industry. Utilization of the Alpha System allows home builders to quickly apply two 1/16 inch diameter beads of P5100 to required framework. It provides solid bonding of wall panels and floor decking. Rake applicators have also been developed for the bonding of ridge beams, giving you fast, precise, cost-effective, low-waste performance. This proven Alpha System is based on P5100 polyurethane adhesive developed by PEMCO Adhesives, an Alpha company. Why is P5100 so different? After this moisture care polyurethane adhesive is applied and begins curing, it foams up instead of shrinking down like other adhesives. This feature gives 5100 exceptional gap-filling properties, providing an extra margin of bonding power. When fully cured, P5100 becomes a rigid foam with outstanding structural integrity. P5100 is VOC-free and meets and exceeds many industry standards, including California's tough CA25-4 standard. It also conforms to ASTM E72-80 for sheeting materials on standard wood framing. It is your dependable, cost-saving solution for construction of walls and floors. Testimonials from engineering departments of major industry manufacturers stated that Alpha's P5100 adhesive has the highest one- and two-sided shear wall test reports that they've ever seen in their many years in the business. They also like its quick setting time, pulling paper within an hour, ripping floor decking in 3 to 5 hours, compared to overnight curing necessary for other adhesives. Performance of the system has been well documented by Alpha's chemists and by independent testing organizations. In tests, P5100 withstood over 8,400 pounds of pressure before breaking the bond. Coupled with its superior strength and cost savings, the Alpha System's greatest feature may be its drastically reduced fastener pattern found in your Alpha System manual. Per ASTM E72-80, Section 14 racking load, a standard 8-foot by 8-foot wall constructed with 1x3 top and bottom plates and 2x3 vertical studs 16 inches on center, the following fastener pattern is as follows. Every 6 inches on top and bottom plates, all perimeter vertical panel edges are 6 inches down and 6 inches up, and 2 fasteners offset 6 inches each from the midpoint. And finally, field fastening, 1 6-inch up, 1 6-inch down, and only 1 fastener in the middle. That superior strength can reduce panel pops in the plant and during transport by up to 90%. P5100 also reduces and eliminates floor squeaks better than any other adhesive on the market. For those reasons, along with its cost savings, 9 out of the top 10 manufactured housing producers use P5100 and the Alpha System. The key to the success of P5100 and the Alpha System is using a small amount of a high-tech product when compared to large amounts of lower technology products. The savings can be quite significant. The cost of P5100 is roughly 7 to 8 tenths of a cent per lineal foot, when compared to white glue at 1 to 2 cents or more per lineal foot. Construction adhesives average 4 to 5 cents a lineal foot. That keyword system is what gives you the advantage when using P5100 polyurethane adhesive. Not only did we develop a revolutionary adhesive, we also developed a better way to deliver it for precise, waste-free application. The Alpha supplied pump unit requires floor space of just 3.5 by 6.5 feet. When used with adhesive in drums, total unit height is 5.5 feet. Or, when used with a tote, total height is approximately 8 feet. This self-contained pump system efficiently delivers P5100 through a process piping network to each workstation. One pump can handle an entire plant. For example, our largest system exceeds 800 feet of piping and 16 guns. Everything you need is available from Alpha, including custom layout for your specific facility. It is the customer's responsibility to install the necessary piping and valves for the system. All piping should be Schedule 80, 1 1/4 inch inside diameter black iron pipe. Once the process piping has been installed, Alpha personnel will come into your facility to install the system, connect hoses, wands, and guns, and train your people on the proper techniques of applying P5100 adhesive. If plant temperature is expected to fall below 65 degrees during the winter months, we recommend enclosing the system with an inside controlled heat source and insulating the piping. If building an enclosure, be sure to leave plenty of room for changing drums and totes and for servicing the pump. For further information on the Alpha system or a custom plant layout, you can contact one of our regional distributors conveniently located throughout the United States. For areas not covered by these distributors, please contact your Alpha representative at 1-800-462-4698. You've just seen an overview of the Alpha system. This video presentation has 3 additional segments covering plant preparation and system installation, application training methods, and maintenance. Now here's an overview of plant preparation and system installation. It is the customer's responsibility to provide all 1 1/4 inch inside diameter Schedule 80 rated black iron piping for the plant. All fittings, tees, elbows, and reducers must be Schedule 80 rated as well. When not in use, applicator heads need to be immersed in oil. This will prevent polyurethane adhesive in the wand and head from beginning to cure. A minimum 2 or 3 foot long wand holder tube is recommended. A 4 foot tube is recommended for 60 inch or greater wands, normally found in the floor department. The tube should be filled no more than 2 to 3 inches above the applicator head as it rests in the oil tube. The tube should be securely attached under the work table, out of the operator's way. After process piping has been installed and secured to roof and vertical beams, 1 1/4 inch or 3/4 inch inside diameter Apollo 3000 psi quarter-turn ball-type shutoff valves should be installed where hoses are to be hooked up. Part number for the 1 1/4 inch valve is 72-106-01. Part number for the 3/4 inch valve is 72-104-01. A way to reduce cost is to use 3/4 inch Apollo valves instead of 1 1/4 inch Apollo valves, reducing all drops from the main line to 3/4 inch, or leaving them 1 1/4 inch and reducing them to 3/4 inch with an elbow or reducer bushing. This method will work well while cutting your valve cost in half. Alpha Systems recommends installing 1 1/4 inch Apollo shutoff valves with plugs at any locations where additional piping may be added after the initial installation. This will make future expansion of the system easier. Note that even if a customer elects to use 3/4 inch valves, one 1 1/4 inch Apollo valve is still required between the pump and the main line pipe. This is necessary if future work on the pump is required. It provides a method to shut off backflow from the process main line pipe to the pump, making the pump easier to work on. As process piping is being installed, all joints must be Teflon taped. It is also the customer's responsibility to blow out any metal shavings or debris in the pipe and to pressure test the system. This can be done at 100 psi overnight or for a minimum of 1 hour to assure that there are no leaks in the piping network. If leaks are found, they must be eliminated prior to filling the system. Your installation responsibility ends at the shutoff valve. Alpha specialists will come into your facility to install reducer bushings, hoses, swivels, guns, wands, and applicator heads, including the tips. Once the process piping is installed, the pump, barrel rack, and tote stand need to be positioned where the mainline pipe can be connected to it. This connection can be either hard piped or flexible hose. If hose is used, it must be rated at 4000 psi or greater to avoid injury or accident and to sustain the pressure the pump delivers. Once the rack is positioned and the pump is connected to the process piping network, take a moment to tighten all hose clamps to reduce the possibility of leaking during the filling process. Filling the bottom reservoir tank is next. There are 2 methods for filling the bottom reservoir tank, depending on whether a tote or drum is being used. all systems are shipped ready for a drum hookup. Included are 2 valves and a quick disconnect to feed the material to the bottom reservoir tank. First, remove the top and bottom vent plugs and thread the desiccant tube into the drum. Now install the drum valve in place. When the drum is in position, grease both male and female portions of the quick disconnect. Now insert and lock the cam lock and open both valves. Finally, remove the air screw and the bottom reservoir will begin to fill. If installing a tote, first remove the top and bottom vent plugs and install the desiccant tube. Then remove the first of the 2 valves and the quick disconnect, leaving only 1 top valve on the Tiger Flex hose. Next, remove the female portion of the quick disconnect and thread it onto the preformed plastic male opening at the bottom of the tote. Now reattach the quick disconnect and cut the safety strap for the flow gate valve attached to the tote. This will act as your original first valve, as in a drum configuration. When all valves have been opened and the reservoir tank air screw has been removed, the bottom reservoir will begin to fill. On a tote installation, with a room temperature of 70 degrees, it will take 10 to 30 minutes to fill the bottom reservoir. On both drum and tote hookups, once material exits the top screw hole, immediately replace the screw. The intention with both drum and tote feed systems is to never allow the bottom reservoir to run dry. In a drum installation, you will use 3 drums of material when preparing the system. 1 to fill the bottom reservoir tank, 1 to fill the piping network, and 1 for actual production use. With a tote hookup, only 1 installation will be needed, since the capacity of a tote is 5 52.9 gallon drums. Once the reservoir and piping system are filled, you still have enough material left for 1 to 3 weeks of production prior to the next tote change. Before operating the pump, be sure to fill the throw-it oil cup. If it is an aero pump system, use 85/140 differential oil, which will be supplied with the system. Fill the cup 3/4 full prior to starting the pump. The larger of the 2 valves feeds the main line. The smaller valve is for filling squeeze bottles. If this valve will not be used in your system, be sure to put a 1/2-inch plug into it to prevent accidental opening, which could cause injury or a large mess. A 3/4-inch inside diameter air line is attached to the 3/4-inch inlet air hole on the pump. This allows the pump to receive the maximum airflow, assuring it won't be air-starved. With all of the above procedures done, make sure all Apollo valves are closed. Then proceed to the furthest Apollo valve drop point in the plant. This is where you'll bleed the system first. A second person should remain at the pump to open the compressed air supply and the main flow valve to the process piping network. Before starting the pump, ensure that the air regulator adjustment is screwed clockwise all the way out and that the pressure gauge reads 0. With the compressed air supply open, place a 5-gallon bucket under the pump's 1/2-inch auxiliary valve. Then slowly turn the adjuster on the air regulator clockwise and apply pressure to 5 to 10 psi and bleed the pump until a steady stream of adhesive with no air bubbles flows into the bucket. Then close the bleeder valve on the pump and open the main supply line to the process piping network. The pump will begin to cycle. Due to the length of the furthest drop point, many cycles will be necessary before adhesive begins exiting the hose. This can take up to 15 minutes. Once material begins to flow from the hose, allow 1 to 3 quarts of material to run into a bucket. This will remove any remaining debris from the process piping network. Also look for foamy or caramel-colored material, for this indicates that there is excessive moisture in the lines. Continue the flow until uninterrupted dark material flows from the hose, then shut off the valve. Allow 2 minutes to pass before attempting to hook up the swivel and gun assembly. Failure to do this will cause excess pressure to continue pushing material out of the hose, making for a sloppy hookup. At this time, attach the hose to the swivel and gun assembly. Use the bucket to test the flow of the gun assembly to assure there are no leaks, and to purge the air and moisture from the gun assembly. After completing this process, repeat the procedure on the next furthest drop valve from the pump until all drop valves have been done. When approaching the last few valves closest to the pump, a large amount of air pressure will be found in these hoses. Get a firm grip on the end of the hose, then very slowly open the valve to reduce the air pressure. Once the pressure is relieved, the hose should take only 10 to 30 seconds to fill. Finally, note that wear and tear on the hose can be avoided if it is suspended by pulleys from a 5/16 inch cable, as opposed to being dragged on the floor. It also makes for a better application job, cleaner equipment, and a neater work area. Alpha also offers the option of purchasing, at additional cost, a clear plastic cover for the final 10 feet of the hose. This prevents bending, binding, and keeking of the hose, and prevents material buildup through the ability to change the clear plastic covering periodically. Next, let's look at how the system operates in production line use. Note that the operators should always wear safety glasses with side shields, along with rubber, vinyl, or latex gloves. If there is potential for adhesive contact with skin or clothing, wearing an apron is advised. The Alpha system gives you several choices in equipment setup. You can choose a 2-gun system for use on a sidewall table. Workers on both sides of the table use 24-inch wands. They simply reach across the work area and meet in the middle. If care is not taken, this type of setup could cause puddling. This is due to pressure buildup in the nozzle when the gun is off. When the gun is activated, this pressure causes a large amount of adhesive to briefly exit the gun. This puddling could result in excess adhesive seeping and foaming through the seam onto the face of the panel being attached. To avoid this situation, have one operator overlap the other's adhesive beads, being careful to move the nozzle tip before pulling the trigger. This will eliminate puddling and create a more consistent adhesive bead. Or if the operator knows where his panel seam will be on his wall, it is recommended that he push that stud as opposed to pulling that stud, so that the puddle effect can be at the top or bottom plate area, drastically reducing the potential for foam through. A sidewall table can also utilize a single gun setup with a long wand up to 60 inches in length. The advantage of this configuration is the ability to produce 2 continuous, uninterrupted 1/16 inch diameter beads from the top plate to the bottom plate. Puddling at the top or bottom plate area is far less critical than in the middle where panels are joined. Note that it is much easier to attain a clean application by pulling the wand assembly, as opposed to pushing it. There is nothing wrong with pushing it, but if there are any defects or imperfections in the stud, the guide has a greater chance of catching, making application difficult. If the wand is not going to be used for 5 minutes or longer, make sure it is placed in the oil tube. Now that you know the basics, let's look at an actual production line application of P5100 adhesive. After the wood framing has been laid out, the operator applies 2 1/16 inch diameter beads of P5100. This step is fast and easy using the specially designed gun and nozzle. The tip of the wand must remain at 90-degree angle to the stud during adhesive application. Keeping that in mind, the wand can be bent if desired to make it more comfortable for the operator to use. If the tip meets the stud at an angle of less than 90 degrees, adhesive will make contact with the face of the tip, causing skipping and buildup that results in uneven application. After application, moisture in the wood causes the polyurethane beads to foam up. This is called open time, lasting approximately 15 to 20 minutes. During this open time period, the operator positions drywall panels on framework or decking on floors, then fastens them as required. The fastened panels can be lifted and moved immediately. Application can be done in any room temperature between 40 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Curing time will vary with temperature and humidity. In a typical plant operation, with room temperature at 75 degrees and relative humidity at 50%, open time will be 20 minutes. Under these conditions, setup time is 45 minutes minimum. The maximum bonding strength is achieved in just 24 hours. However, P5100 can pull paper on gypsum panels in 45 to 70 minutes and can rip floor decking in 3 to 5 hours. Finally, we'll take a look at the maintenance of the Alpha system. Here are important daily and weekly maintenance procedures. Check adhesive level and change the drum or tote as needed. Remember, the bottom reservoir must be full at all times. Check the pump through oil cup level. If needed, add oil prior to starting the pump. The oil cup should be kept 3/4 full at all times. Again, use only 85/140 differential oil. Check the desiccant air dryer tube for color change. Replace the tube if indicated. Most desiccants start out blue and turn pink when moisture is present. Check the air regulator pressure level. Most systems operate at 25 psi, plus or minus 5 psi during the summer months. During the winter months, 35 to 55 psi is normal. Check applicator tips for damage and contamination. Use a wire brush to remove any debris that has accumulated. Test flow rate and bead size. If applicator tip is clogged, change it. If there are no tips on hand, carefully drill out the tips with an 1/8" drill bit set on forward. A seal kit is provided with every system for replacing the pump seals. To replace these seals, begin disconnecting the compressed air supply, then shut off the main process feed line valve and relieve the pressure by opening the 1/2" bleeder valve. Next, close the supply valve at the bottom reservoir. Remove 3 cap nuts from the air motor mount. Now, with the aid of a chain attached to the fork of a tow motor, gently lift the air motor to allow access to the threaded support rods. Remove all 3 rods. Then remove both cotter pins on the pump shaft. Now unthread the shaft couplers and carefully remove the air motor. Next, remove the oil from the cup with an eyedropper and unthread the cup by inserting a 3/8" rod into the holes. Turn counterclockwise and remove the cup. Remove the upper pump housing to expose the pump seals inside. To prevent the polyurethane from curing, pour a small amount of oil into the top of the shaft housing. Remove and replace the pump seals. Refer to the drawing in your manual for the proper stacking sequence. You are now ready to reassemble the pump. Start by sliding the upper pump housing in place. Grease the threads on the oil cup and hand tighten in place. Do not over tighten. Carefully position the motor and thread the coupler onto the shaft, aligning the cotter pin holes. Insert the new cotter pins and reinstall the threaded rods. Finally, lower the motor into place. Tighten the 3 cap nuts and refill the oil cup. Now close the bleeder valve, open the supply valve, and reconnect the air supply. While leaving the main feed line closed, run the pump. If the level in the oil cup begins to rise, tighten the cup by approximately 1/8 inch at a time until the oil level stops rising. Before opening the main feed line, open the bleeder valve to pump out the exposed material and to bleed air from the system. Here's how to change drums. First, make sure all materials and tools you'll need are located at the drum site prior to changing the drum or tote. This will help prevent adhesive from curing in the valves and clogging the wands. Tip the empty drum with a 2x4 to drain as much remaining adhesive as possible into the lower reservoir. Place some polyfilm under the quick disconnect valves to catch any adhesive drips. Close both valves on top of the drum and unhook the quick disconnect. Position the disconnected line so that no adhesive will spill out. Remove the desiccant tube and save it for replacement on a new drum or tote. Remove the top drum from the base and unfasten the shutoff valve and desiccant tube elbow. Attach the closed valve to the new drum and set in place. Grease both inner surfaces of the quick disconnect and reattach the couplings. Use plenty of grease. It will make the next drum change considerably easier. Then open all valves to the system. Finally, reattach the desiccant tube elbow and insert the desiccant tube. Be sure to check the oil cup level daily. If any adhesive is present, remove it and the oil with a turkey baster and refill the cup approximately 3/4 full. Make sure you don't overfill it. Next, check the desiccant tube. The desiccant tube needs to be replaced when the crystals change from blue to a pink color. Do not discard the crystals because they can be reused after moisture is baked out of them with a conventional oven. Let's take a moment to cover the proper handling and cleanup of Alpha P5100 polyurethane adhesive. The ideal storage temperature for Alpha P5100 is 50 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. At temperatures below 60 degrees, Viscosity will increase substantially. Regarding cleanup of drums and handling of in-plant spills of adhesive, refer to the proper handling techniques for P5100 found in your Alpha System manual. That's an overview of the installation and maintenance procedures for the Alpha System, utilizing Alpha's P5100 adhesive. If you have additional questions, please refer to your Alpha System manual, or feel free to call us at Alpha Systems at 1-800-462-4698. Thanks for your time.